Son of a bitch.
Groovy.
Hey everybody, this is Matthew Movies coming at you with my review of Kung Pao, Enter the Fist, a 2002 comedy that is an interesting movie. It is absolutely ridiculous and crazy and just over the top, and it's quite the film, let me put it to you that way. Now, for those of you who don't know what this movie is about, it doesn't matter. I was going to explain it for you, but the plot of this movie is very immaterial. It has very little to do with an actual story being told. I mean, it is all there. This movie does play on a lot of tropes that you see in martial arts films and all that kind of stuff. But really, at the end of the day, this is just a silly film that's all about spoofing martial arts movies and being really ridiculous and stupid and goofy and all that kind of stuff. I will say this, for those of you who don't know anything about this movie, basically what this movie is a guy by the name of Steve Odenkirk. He created this film by taking a previously released movie, a movie that came out in like 1972, and then dubbing over it with dialogue and filming new scenes that he cut in it, that he put himself in the movie as the main hero, and that's what this movie is. So it's an amalgamation of ridiculousness and an actual movie, and it comes together, and it is just it's a peculiar film. It is, I mean, I can't really overstate how ridiculous this movie is. Like I said before, this movie stars a guy by the name of Steve Odenkirk, who people may know. He made a movie called Thumb Wars back in the day, where it was literally thumbs telling the story of Star Wars, I should say. And he also made like Thumbtanic, which was Titanic, and Thumblestein, and all like just a long list of movies where it's people's thumbs and various other things like the bottom of a person's face and that kind of stuff in order to create these characters, and he does a similar effect here, and he is the main hero of this movie. Like I said, he's called the Chosen One, and he goes around and he's fighting all these bad guys, and you find out one of the things, the reason why he's dubbed the Chosen One is he reveals that when he puts his tongue out, his tongue has a little face on it that can talk, and it looks exactly the same way the effects do in the Thumb Wars series. And he goes around and he's going to take on this evil bad guy, and the evil bad guy, he's called Master Pain, but he also gets called Betty, which is one of the running jokes, and gives you an idea of the level of humor in this movie. This is not a movie you're gonna be like, man, that movie had a lot of interesting things to say, and it was a very interesting take on the genre. No, none of that at all. I mean, like I said before, it definitely does play on the tropes of martial arts movies, and it definitely has a lot to do with that, because the fact that they actually took an old school martial arts film and just cut this in there. But a lot of the jokes are super lowbrow. I'll tell you this, for me personally, when I watched this movie for the first time, a friend of mine showed it to me, a guy by the name of Darcy, a really good dude, and I was watching it and I was like, I wasn't getting it. I wasn't with it at all. I was like, this movie is really, really dumb. And then there was this really over-the-top moment where basically the main character, he gets attacked by a bunch of guys who are hitting him with the like bows, essentially. And they're going at it, and they're hitting him over and over again. And at first I was kind of like, oh, okay. But then it just went on and on and on, and he's getting hit in the nuts, and he's just over and over and over again. And after like it was going on for like 30 seconds or whatever, I was like, okay, I know what this movie is. I started laughing and I started going with it, and that's the key to enjoying this movie, is you have to go with it. I could easily understand why somebody could possibly hate this movie, because it is so infantile. I enjoy it. I don't love it. I think it's an interesting movie, and one, I mean, the last time I watched it was probably when my friend showed it to me for the first time, and then watching it all these years later. It's not at the top of any of my lists of favorite films by any stretch of the imagination, but it's enjoyable. I mean, one of the major things you can take away from this movie, one of the biggest, there's a sequence where he fights a cow, and the cow has martial arts skills, and they use effects to create it. And I mean, he's like, there's parts where he's like fighting the udder, and I mean, that's the level of comedy of this movie. It is just a peculiar film. It's an experience. I mean, that's, at the end of the day, my biggest takeaway from this movie is that it's a unique experience, and one I think it might be worthwhile checking out if you feel like this sense of humor might work for you. But I will say I don't think it'll work for a lot of people as well. If I was gonna give it a score out of 10, I mean, it's hard because I mean, from an actual like filmmaking storytelling point of view, would be like a 4 or something like that. But I mean, the experimental aspect of it is really interesting. The way that they made it, I find to be pretty crazy. It does have some pretty entertaining moments if you can go with it. So at the end of the day, if I was gonna say my enjoyment, I'd probably give it maybe a 7 out of 10, or maybe 6. Yeah, 7. I'd say 7 is probably pretty spot on. So those are my thoughts on Kung Pao Enter the Fist. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. If you're a fan of it, if you've never heard of it, if it sounds absolutely asinine, whatever. Other than that, hit that like button, hit that share button. It makes it much more likely that other people come check out this review and let me know what they think, which would be awesome because I love talking to people about movies. And speaking of which, if you're new here or you just haven't done it yet, please, please, please hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way you can find out when I put out a new video. Come give me that feedback and we can have that back and forth. It would be absolutely awesome. Aside from all that though, have yourself a good day.